Welcome to the Idea Talks, where we discuss big ideas. The Idea Talks is a bi-weekly podcast with Josh Teis and other leaders on big ideas for life, leadership, and ministry. And I'm your co-host, Drew Planencia, and we are glad you're here. For more information on this podcast, visit ideanetwork.church.
Hey man, this is the part of the episode where we're supposed to advertise my book.
All right.
So what do you think we should say?
I don't feel bad about it. It's not a shameless plug. It's literally your book. You've put a lot of work into it.
That's a good point. So you need to pick up a copy. And hey, here's the thing. If you buy a copy and you didn't like it,
right,
Drew said he'll pay for you to ship it back.
It's not what I said. At least an In-N-Out burger, I'll ship to them.
You'll ship them.
If it's on the East Coast, it'll be all spoiled, but it's fine. Hey, I'm in this book too.
You are. You're actually in this book. And I say some things that people don't know about you. It's going to be great. I tell some stories.
All right.
Are you?
Where can people find this book at?
Oh, that's right.
And what it's called.
Okay, so you can pick up this book.
Right.
It's called The Quest for Friendship.
The Quest for Friendship. Insert Galleon's music here.
That really is what it is.
Right. It's happening right now. It's
the Idea Network publishing arm of our network has produced this awesome resource, and I really do appreciate it. It's exciting. It really is a discussion of friendship, and I want you to pick up a copy at ideanetwork.church in the shop tab. It's the very first resource at the very top. You can pick it up, and if you put in the promo code free shipping is yours.
All right.
Yeah.
There it is.
Go do it now.
The Quest for Friendship. Welcome to this edition of the Idea Talks. Thanks so much for stopping by. You know, today's episode airs right before Father's Day. I can't help but think about my children and how I love being a father, and they mean so much to me. If you ever listen to these episodes, Grace, Emma, James, and Titus, I love you so much, and you've changed my life already so much, and I can't wait to see how you change it continually in the future. Today's episode is from session audio from an Idea Day in 2020 here in Las Vegas. The speaker is Sean Teis. For over a decade, Sean Teis has been evangelizing and discipling fatherless families through speaking, creating unique resources, and partnering with local churches. Sean grew up fatherless, had a single mom, and his grandparents helped raise him. And despite his situation, he became an ordained minister, is a national speaker, and he is a published author of 6 books. He has held various ministries inside the local church and at an international parachurch organization, but all with maintaining a continual focus on fatherless family ministry. He also worked in corporate America for over 15 plus years. Sean's main ministry calling, besides being a husband and father, is in evangelizing and discipling fatherless families through Life Factors Fatherless Ministries, with his awesome wife Jackie and his amazing little kids Malachi, Titus, and Blair. You can find out more about the Teis family, their national tour, and their ministry at lifefactors.org. Without any further ado, here's the session audio from Sean Teis.
So my name's Sean Teis. There is a relation. I get that all the time. People say, are you related to the Vegas Teises? Yes, I am. Okay, I am related to them. I'll tell you my story in a little bit, but my dad is David Teis' older brother, and he actually lives out here, and that's my relation. I never met them till I was 15 years old, and came out here and visited, and so that's my relation. So I've gotten to know them over the last 20 years, and so it's been good, and I'm thankful for my family and the heritage that Uncle David has provided, because my dad didn't provide any good heritage, so I'm very thankful for that. But we're excited to be able to share with you. This is my wife Jackie. We travel in a ministry, and I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of our ministry. And everybody get a brochure. Did you guys everybody get one? Anybody not get a handout and brochures and stuff? Okay. But we travel in a ministry to help fatherless families. We go around the country. We actually live in an RV. We gave up pretty much everything we have to go travel for this ministry full time. Last year, we were in 89 churches. We spoke all over the country in churches, youth detention centers, public schools, Christian schools, and we focus on, like I said, fatherless ministry. And we do that we spread awareness, and we go around and help people understand what's going on with fatherlessness in their circle of influence. So in their community, why is there crime happening? Why is there all these things going on? And we kind kind of help them understand that, and then we inspire them to get involved in their circle of influence, such what could be nieces or nephews, people they work with, grandparents raising grandkids in their community, and so we help them with that. We also create unique resources like you saw, and I'm just giving you a quick rundown through this because of the session, but we have different books that we've written. We have a book for fatherless children, helps them show them that it's not their fault and that God loves them. We have one for motherless children as well, and then we have one for orphan and foster care children, and it walks through how God will fill the gap for them. We also have books we've written for teens, for fatherless girls that are going through it, and also fatherless guys. And these books work through the top 30 things you would deal with not having a dad as a teen guy or a teen girl. My sister and I wrote this one together, and I wrote this one and had people help me, work through different things like that. And then we have this book my mom and I wrote together called The Single Mom Journey. And these books can all be used as a small group study, a one-on-one mentoring resource, as a personal study. So these are just resources that are available. If you flip to the back page, it shows you those resources on there, because we're supposed to give out resources. And so I want to show you, give you some ideas of resources that we have available that you can use. If you want to check these out, they'll be over here. But these are just some of the things that we have. We also have another thing that we created, and I told you about it a little bit ago, but this is a God is My Dad app, and these are posters you can take. But this app has videos from different Christian leaders. Did you ever hear the Skit Guys? You got the Skit Guy, they're on there. We have Stephen Kendrick, producer of War Room, Courageous. We have a guy named Josh Teis on there. He's on there. Dave Teis, different pastors. Johnny Pope, Johnny Pope. Different pastors and ministry leaders are on here telling the fatherless, hey, you can make it. You can overcome what you're going through in their own way. And so if you would like to make a video, we look for more pastors, ministry leaders to do that. We'd love for you to make a video, send it to us. We'll put it on our app, and it helps people understand that they can overcome it too. They can get through it. And we also have a story section. So if you have a story of fatherlessness, you can share your story on there. We have individuals read that. We had a single mom comment. It was a long time ago, actually. I say this all the time, but she had a little son. She shared this picture, like 5-year-old, and she said her son loves to hear the stories. I don't know who this lady was, but loves to hear the stories about other people that have made it through fatherlessness. And so just by sharing stories. So we have a section with videos. We have a section with stories. We have how-to articles, how-to videos, and we just free resources to help the fatherless. And this thing's on the Apple and Google Play Store. So you check that out. Something you can give out to people that are going through that. Just a bunch of unique stuff that we developed to help fatherless families. We've been doing this for almost 12 years now, and we just finally went full time this past year. So it takes a long time to build something, right? I served as a youth pastor in Florida, and my ministry was focused a lot on helping fatherless families. But those are some of the resources that we have. Definitely check those out at the end. And if you want something, we do come to churches. We do family conferences and stuff. We'd love to talk to you about that if you want to. But today we're looking at how to jumpstart fatherless family ministry. And this issue of fatherlessness it's an epidemic in our country. I mean, it really is. And as you can see, it's not, we have a lot of empty chairs in here. And this is what we deal with as a ministry because it's not an issue that's focused on enough. I'm just going to be honest with you. We've seen that as we've traveled, but there are people like you that are like, I want to hear about this a little more. And that's the people that we're working with. But we're trying to help people understand that this thing, if we could focus on it's an epidemic, but it could spread a major revival across our land if we could reach these fatherless individuals. Because the fatherless continue to make the fatherless, and the fatherless continue to make the fatherless, and it just keeps happening and happening. And if we could change that, it could really impact our nation. So let's have a word of prayer, and then we're going to jump into your notes here, and we'll give you some information, maybe help you, give you some ideas on how you can get involved in this. Heavenly Father, I thank you for just allowing us to come here this morning. I thank you for the opportunity to be able to share here. It's an honor to be able to be part of this. I pray that you'd speak through me. I pray to be from you, and I pray that you would just give us ideas. I pray that you'd speak to all of the hearts in here, and even myself, how we can do a better job of ministering to the fatherless, to the single moms, to the grandparents raising grandkids, to the foster families, the single dads, the motherless individuals that are in our ministries, how we can do a better job of reaching them and guiding them to you. And I pray that we would learn from you today, Lord. You're our Heavenly Father, and we love you so much. We ask and pray these things to you in Jesus' name. Amen. So, and real quick, I wanted to give you just real fast, you can write this on your paper, but if you text to the number 66866, the word dad, if you want to stay in touch with our ministry after this session and stay and get a free God is My Dad devotional and some resources, we want to be able to give that to you and be able to stay in touch with us. So if you text to the number 66866, text the word dad to that, it'll opt you in. It'll ask you for your email address, and you can be opted into that. So you can do that later if you want. But it's 66866, text the word dad to it. But in here, I want to ask you, how many of you in here have a fatherless families in your church or in your ministry? Okay. How many of you have grandparents raising grandkids in your church? Okay, a lot of people. How many of you have single, maybe you have fatherless individuals. How many of you have single moms that come to the church too? Because some people have bus ministries with fatherless kids, but they don't have those single moms coming. So there's a lot of times there's a mixture. Who has single dads coming to your church, okay? And then even motherless children. What about foster families in your church? You have, okay, I just want to get an idea of what we have here, the ministries. And, they're everywhere. I had a pastor tell me one time, he said, it was in Annapolis, Maryland. And he said, we just don't have any families like that around here. And I'm like, and I'm not trying to judge that guy, I'm not sure, but they're everywhere. And if you look at statistics and numbers, they range between 24 million to 30 million fatherless kids, children, teens, young adults. And if you do young adults, the numbers go way higher because there's tons of adults out there that are still working through their fatherless issues. We come across, in our ministry, we travel and we come across elderly individuals that walk up to us and say, does this, and they look at our teen devotional, they're like, will this work for me? And so we're trying to produce more resources to help them with that age group, but there's so many different ages. So the numbers just go, it's astronomical what it goes up to. And so we trying to help with that. So so in your notes, there's 3 parts of really jump-starting fatherless ministry. And the thing with fatherless ministry, we oftentimes think that it's some complicated thing. Like, you have to start a program. And that's where we're trying to debunk that, because you don't have to start a program to reach the fatherless. And I honestly believe that Satan uses that as a lie, because he tells us, well, you don't have the time, you don't have the resources. This is not something that you can do because, you already have all these other things going on. And so we need to look past that. And that's what I really want to show you today, is it doesn't have to be a program. And we pushed a program for the first several years, and we came across a lot of pastors that were like, I don't have time for that. And so we try to help you with that. One of the things that if you look at that big card that I gave to you. So as we've traveled, we went to 89 churches last year. And in the 89 churches, we saw a lot of pastors, and I was a youth pastor for 6 years. I volunteered in another church in Pennsylvania for a while. And so I see how hard it is to balance everything. Honestly, it's tough, isn't it? Trying to help all these different families, all these different issues. And so we created this thing called God is My Dad Club that God gave to us, where it's not even launched yet, but I wanted to tell you about it so you can check it out when it does launch in a couple months. Basically what it is so you can log into it as a church. You can become a God is My Dad Club church. You log in, you send single moms, grandparents raising grandkids, fatherless individuals to it. They go into it and they log in and they click on whatever area applies to them. So say single moms. They would click on single moms and it shows them video coaching, a monthly coaching call, an online community of other people that are going through with people that can help them. But it looks like it's coming from your church. It's a resource where, wow, they actually care about me. And it's something you can defer them to while you still minister to them on the side, while you're still working with them as much as you can. It's another thing that helps disciple them and evangelize the fatherless, the single moms and grandparents raising grandkids. So that's something that's going to be available soon, but that's what we're seeing. A lot of churches want that. They're able to, and they want to be able to help with this issue. And so we created that because we see this. But, number one, there's a need. There's such a need in reaching the fatherless. And you got to understand, if you want to jumpstart fatherless ministry, you got to understand the need. Really, there's a huge need, right? You see that in the news. When we first started this ministry 12 years ago, and it's amazing just over 12 years, how the people are seeing it differently throughout the news, throughout different shootings that have happened of, wow, this is actually an issue. This is actually something that was going on. And so we see all these statistics now of stuff that's going on with fatherlessness. And, I'm passionate about it because it's my story. I grew up without a dad. Like I said, my dad, I don't know if you've ever heard my story before, but my dad came to Pennsylvania, met my mom at a party. They ended up getting married soon after that. He grew up in Las Vegas. Actually, Uncle David and my dad, their dad died when Uncle David was David Teis whenever he was 10 and my dad was 13. And so Uncle David he was able to get plugged into a church. He had people help him. My dad chose to go down the path of pursuing the healing from Las Vegas, okay? All the different things Las Vegas offers. And so that's the kind of lifestyle he chose. And eventually came to Pennsylvania because we have other family out there. And met my mom, and then they ended up getting married. We were married for like 10 years or something, had 3 children. And then I fast forward, I never met him until I was 15 years old. And he's just an alcoholic, drug addict, just still struggling. Actually, his career was in the porn industry in Las Vegas. So we had Pastor Teis, and then we had my dad, the porn star. And so we have like, it's just major differences on the scale of what fatherlessness can do to you, but it can change you, as you see with David Teis. And look what David Teis, with Josh Teis, you can see how just by reaching a child, what it can change in their life through Jesus. And even seeing Uncle David in my life, and had mentors pour into my life, God brought me through fatherlessness, but there's millions of other kids out there that are facing the statistics I'm going to share with you, that they're dealing with all of these issues that are just hitting them in the face. And you're trying to minister to them. You're trying to help their single moms. You're trying to help their grandparents raising grandkids. You're like, how do I do this? I'm going to share some statistics with you just right now. Before I do, understand these are just statistics. They're not what the people in your ministry have to become. These are just what's happening with people that don't have Jesus in their life. They don't have the hope of Jesus helping them and guiding them. They don't have a church that's walking alongside them. And so some of the statistics are crime. You know, who sees crime in their community? You see crime? Yeah. It's pretty common, right? 85% of youth, I think it's 89% now with this statistic, 85% of youth in detention centers come from fatherless homes. 80% of rapists motivated with anger issues come from fatherless homes. Of the 27 deadliest mass shootings, 26 of them were fatherless. And we're like, is this an issue, fatherlessness? Yes, it's an issue, because these events, this crime in our communities, these shootings that are happening, this stuff that's going on, it affects us, doesn't it? I mean, it really does. It affects our communities. It affects us mentally and emotionally. We're like, what is going on in our nation? We're seeing all this stuff happening. And crime is a big thing. It comes from fatherless families. Now, does everything? No, it's 85% or 89%. There's still that other percentage that comes from different situations. But it could be motherless or something like that, but a lot of them come from fatherless homes. Homosexuality and gender identity. There's a guy, he died a few years back, but he was in California, named Dr. Joseph Nicolasi. And he was on Oprah, very well-known guy. And what his practice was, where he would work with homosexuals that wanted to go to him and said, I don't want to have these feelings anymore. Will you help me work through why I'm having these feelings for the opposite or for the same sex? And so they would go to him, and he's quoted as saying he's worked with thousands of homosexuals and to help them work through not being a homosexual anymore. And he said, I've never seen one who had a loving, respectful relationship with their father. And so this is a guy, this is not from me, this is from him. This is his practice. There's another study with P.L. Adams. He said that boys who grew up in father-absent homes are more likely than those in father-present homes to have trouble establishing appropriate sex roles and gender identity. We hear a lot about gender identity, don't we? And so that's an issue that we're seeing happening. A lot of times it's coming from fatherless homes. They're confused. Now, homosexuality is a delicate case because it could be from abuse. It could be, there's a lot of things that happen with that, but they're saying a lot of it has to do with the dad. Dads play a major role in these kids' lives. Teen pregnancy. Maybe you're thinking, I hate abortion. 71% of teen pregnancies come from fatherless homes. So if you hate abortion, mentor a young girl. That's kind of how to be proactive about that. Mentor a young girl. If you hate homosexuality, mentor a young boy or girl before they go down that path. That's what we're trying to change how we do this. Instead of just putting see a lot of people putting Facebook rants about how they hate these things on. Instead of doing that, take that effort and put it into ministering to one of these kids before they go down that path. It'll change some of these things. A white teenage girl from an advantaged background, because a lot of people try to tell me when I first started this ministry, like, it's a certain race. So a certain side of the tracks. I came from a very poor home. My dad left us in a trailer park in central Pennsylvania when he walked out. And so the people tell me, it's a certain side of the tracks. It's a certain race, certain economic background. That's not the case. I mean, honestly, it's in every area. Like I said about Annapolis, Maryland, a white teenage girl from an advantaged background is 5 times more likely to become a teen mother if she grows up in a single mother household than if she grows up in a household with both biological parents. Because she needs dad there. They need dad there to teach them how to be a respectable person in society so they're not committing crime. They need dad there to teach them how to be a man. They need dad there to teach them that they love them and that they're loved and they're valued and they have security and worth. And God will help them through these things, but God set it up where it's supposed to be an earthly dad there. God can fill the void of that, but we as a church have to introduce them to that. Does it make sense? Education. In studies involving over 25,000 children, Using nationally representative data sets, children who lived with only one parent had lower grade point averages, lower college aspirations, poor attendance records, and higher dropout rates than students who lived with both parents. It's affecting education, and whenever they don't do good in school, a lot of times they'll end up relying on the government because they can't get a job. And so it's affecting not just their education, but your community, your tax dollars, those things. Suicide, 3 out of 4 teenage suicides occur in a household where a parent has been absent. 3 out of 4. You're like, why are these teens committing suicide? Because of the parental absence in their life. And then addictions and mental illness. There's a study from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services that says fatherless children are at a dramatically greater risk of drug and alcohol abuse, mental illness, suicide, poor educational performance, teen pregnancy, and criminality. Notice it says mental illness in there. I mean, that's a big issue today, right? And a lot of times there is a chemical imbalance. They need some medicine to help them with the things that they're dealing with physically and mentally, but sometimes they just need a loving mentor instead of just throwing pills at them. They need somebody that loves them and shows them that they're worth something, that they actually have hope and there actually can be a bright future. You know what I mean? Does it make sense? And so, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, this sounds pretty sad. How can we even do anything about this issue? Because we see these statistics, we're like, how can I even be part of helping with this? And but the thing is, the local church is the answer. Well, that's why we do the ministry we do, because we just want to help the local church come alongside the local church, because we believe the local church, that's the way God set it up for people to come and be ministered to and to be evangelized and discipled. But there is hope in these situations. But we need the local church to be lighthouses in these communities to help these families out. So there's the need there, but then there's also a biblical mandate. The Bible talks about the fatherless, and I feel like sometimes I bang my head against the wall when I'm talking about this issue of fatherlessness, because people are like, well, why do you care about this? And we can share the statistics all day. There's way more statistics than I've even shared with you now. But then there's also the biblical mandate. If God talks about the fatherless in the Bible, do you think they're worth paying attention to in our ministries? I mean, I think so, right? I mean, if it's something that he cares about, we should care about it too. And so, did I put the verses on the paper there? Okay, well, let's just read through them real quick too. Exodus 22:22, you should not afflict any widow or fatherless child. Job 29:12, because I delivered the poor that cried and the fatherless and him that had none to help him. I love this verse, Psalm 68:5, a father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows is God in his holy habitation. I love that, because in God's holy habitation, we look at God, we love God, but in God's holy habitation, he's fathering the fatherless. He loves them so much. And if he loves them that much to spend that effort and time fathering them, should we as a church? Should we put that effort into them? And I believe we should. So Psalm 146:9, the Lord preserveth the strangers, he relieveth the fatherless. As we saw in the statistics, they need some relief. I mean, they're struggling. They're struggling, and our nation's struggling because of it. It's the number one social issue in our country. And we're struggling, but the relief comes from God. But he's designed it where we're supposed to go to them and help them and minister to them. He relieveth the fatherless. Zechariah 7:10. And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor, and let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. And then Malachi 3:5, I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against those that oppress, and I kind of cut some of it out of there, the fatherless. Those that oppress, he protects them, he loves them. And then James 1:27, who's heard that verse before? James 1:27. I mean, pure religion and undefiled before God and the fathers, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. Now, look at how I showed you in that verse there. It says it's pure religious. It's a pure religious practice. I mean, we and this is one thing that Josh kind of fights against, but we have a lot of religious practices we've come up with in every denomination. There has, Independent Baptist, whatever, but we have these religious practices. This is the way we do things, okay? This is the way we dress. This is the way those are religious practices, okay? But it's saying this is a pure religious practice. Something we should actually pay attention to. In this verse here, it says, and it's undefiled. We're not doing it for the wrong reasons. We're not like Jerry Sandusky with Penn State doing it for the wrong reasons, right? I grew up around Penn State, so I'm allowed to say that. But I could have been one of those kids, and I'm so glad my mom didn't enter me in that program. But I could have been in the 2nd Mile program. But he did it for the wrong reasons. And some ministries do it for the wrong reasons. They do it to promote themselves. They do it to benefit themselves. They do it for weird things. But, they do it for the wrong reasons. We're not doing it for the wrong reasons. And And we're doing it before God. And I believe God added this into this verse here because he's telling us it's a pure religious practice. We're doing it in front of him. And then he added, and the Father. He not just said, I'm God, but I'm the Father. I'm the Father. I'm doing it. I'm your heavenly Father if you've trusted me as your Savior. But, he's the Father, the nourisher. If you look that up in the Greek, the protector, the upholder. And then this is the answer to the entire problem. We could close the session off right here. It says to visit. To visit means to look upon in order to help or to benefit. Okay, so not just a one-time thing. I see a lot of churches, and if you do this, this is awesome. But they do like a one-time oil change for single moms, which is great. You should do that. That's great. They need that. But don't stop there, okay? Don't make it a one-time effort. It's a continual thing to look upon them. It's a pure religious practice to look upon these families in order to help or to benefit them, okay? Continuing on in that ministry. And then if you look at the fatherless, it's talking about kids who've lost one of their guardians, lacking a guide, or both, so motherless, fatherless, or both. But then the last part I want you to see of this verse, okay, is widows. It says, and widows. If you look at the root of that in the Greek, it's talking about a woman who's lost a husband due to death or abandonment. Single moms, right? My mom often felt like a black sheep in our church. We were a bus family. My wife's family we actually known each other for pretty much our whole lives. We were in the nursery together, and I didn't notice her until I was in 8th grade. I'm like, wow, who's that? But we grew up together. She was a pastor's kid. I was a bus kid. And my mom felt like a black sheep oftentimes in the church when I was growing up because we were one of the only fatherless families. We were one of the only ones there. And our church took care of it. They really did. Our church was great with us, but she felt like a black sheep because she was kind of labeled like that. And I want to encourage you, don't make them feel like that. It's a different day and age from when I grew up in the 80s and early 90s or 90s. But, help them feel like they're valued and they're worth something. They're part of your ministry. Get them plugged into things. Help them know that it's not just about the couples ministry. Make sure that you include them. Sure, you need to do couples ministry, but include them in stuff. Make sure you're wording it right where they can be involved. And you have a date night for couples. Do it a night out for parents. You know what I mean? Just kind of rephrase things where you try to help them out so they don't feel like they're the black sheep and so basically this verse is saying it's a pure religious practice in front of God to look after fatherless children and teens and their moms. I don't know about you, but as a Christian, and I'm sure you feel the same way. That's why you're here. We want to do pure religious practices. Well, here it is right here. And we could stop the whole thing right there. That's the idea, to visit them. Okay, how can I visit them, though? We got to figure out how to do that. And so the plan right here, we got to do something. We can't just stop and say, okay, good. And now I know why all these things are happening in our country, what's going on with fatherlessness. Now I know the Bible talks about this. You can't just stop there. I always talk about how there's those movies you watch. You watch one of those movies that just ends. You hate those movies, right? I mean, honestly, I do. They just end. And it's like you're watching this whole movie about this war or this battle, and the credits start rolling before anybody wins. It's like, are you serious right now? And you wait for 10 minutes for something to, an extra scene to happen and nothing ever pops up. Or a movie about a guy and a girl falling in love together, okay? And you're like, wow, they're going to fall in love. Something's going to happen. This is going to be awesome. And they never get married at the end of the movie. Are you serious? You know what I mean? It's like I just wasted 2 hours of my life for this battle or this whatever it might be. We hate those movies. Complete opposite from every Hallmark movie ever made, okay? They're all predictable, right? You guys with me? I mean, Hallmark movies, I hate them. I was going to be honest. But they're the same movie every time. I'll tell you how. You know how? Guy or a girl goes to a small town, okay? Came from the big city. They're dating the big city boyfriend or girlfriend, attorney that they have in the big city. They come back to the small town. They find that country boy or country girl. They fall in love with that country boy or country girl. After some struggles, they save a cafe, save a factory, right? By the end of the movie, they fall in love with them. They save that cafe and factory. They dump that other person. The end of a Hallmark movie. There it is.
It's from the Bible.
There it is. Hey, my wife likes them too, so it's okay. You know what I mean? And when I see them on, when I come to the house, I have to pray and ask God to help me. No, I'm just kidding. Because I just can't stand them. They're predictable. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the unpredictable. They just end. And that would be like if you came in here today, you saw the need. You saw the mandate of the Bible telling us why we should be involved in this, why we should care, why you should care about your community, what's happening in your country. And then you just stopped. It's like one of those movies you don't like. Where you're like, what? Just end. Don't let the story end there. Do something. So we got to look at the plan. And the plan is to do something. You're like, well, how do I do something? Well, every situation's different. I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can do something, but you might have in your church 4 grandparents raising grandkids. You might have single moms. You might have a couple of fatherless kids. You might have a mixture of a variety of different ones. You might just have a bus ministry with just fatherless kids that you're dealing with. So every ministry is different, but there are a lot of similarities between them. And so some of the things that you can do are, I'm going to give you a list here of 15 things, but the first thing is, and on your paper there, the first thing is do an evaluation. Do an evaluation. Okay, look at your church and your community right now and write down what fatherless families you currently have in your church and community. You don't have to write them all out now, but just kind of think about, who do I have? Who's around me that is growing up fatherless, or as a grandparent raising grandkids, or a single mom? Do an inventory. Do the inventory of the single dads. Write them out. You don't have to do that here right now, but as you go home or whenever you can, write them out. And then I want to encourage you, and the second thing is just how to jumpstart your ministry, because this is really the basics, to get down to the basics, who they are. And then pray for your list. Say, God, okay, maybe we haven't effectively been ministering to them. Maybe we thought we were. But maybe how can we be a better minister to these families? Pray for them. Start praying for them on a regular basis. Okay, there's this one fatherless teen. There's this one grandparent raising their grandchild. I was at my uncle's church on Sunday night. There's a great grandma raising her granddaughter. Maybe there's a variety of situations. Maybe there's a foster families. You're like, maybe we're going to focus on them. And pray and ask God to help you know where to focus. Because it depends on the size of your church, depends on where you're at, but maybe you need to focus on one area. Don't kill yourself trying to focus on everything at one time, but just say, okay, what can we do within our means and with our ability and with our volunteers? How can we work with them? How can we help them and be more effective? And ask God to give you guidance on that. And then number 3, and I love this one, is make a list of mentor couples in your church. Notice I said couples, okay? Today's day and age, it's a whole different world. People, and we're talking people that are solid in your church, that you think, wow, this person could mentor this family. And then try to match them up. How can I match up, Jim and Shelly, the deacon and his wife, and they're faithful and they love God. How can I match them up with this one family over here? And then make a list of that and figure out who can you match together. Make those matches. And it doesn't have to be a program, okay? Just understand this is about organic ministry, but just trying to introduce those relationships. Say, hey, Jim and Shelly. I don't know, is anybody Jim in here? Anybody named Jim? Okay, good. Jim and Shelly. Hey, Jim and Shelly, would you go and would you take this kid and their grandma out to lunch on Sunday afternoon? That's not going to hurt, right? Or have them over to your house for lunch. Would you be able to just kind of spend some time and just kind of see what you get? Because don't put it on yourself as the pastor, because that's what we do a lot of times, right? I know when I was a youth pastor, I was always putting everything on myself instead of trying to. And I had youth leaders, and I could pass it off to them, but a lot of times it's just easier to do it myself. You know what I mean? So, but don't make this all on you. Find those mentor couples in your church and try to get them out there. Try to help them with that. Number 4, launch a single mom group. Consider launching a single mom group in your church. We have a resource you can use. You can do 30 weeks, 30 months through our single mom journey. There's other books out there that you can use. Find what's good for you, that works through the top things that they deal with, that helps them along their journey of being a single mom. But do something for them. So you can launch a single mom group. Do it during the times that you might have already have childcare, okay? Because childcare is hard sometimes to find. So maybe do it on a Wednesday night. Have one of a lady in church, and an older, wiser lady in your church, or a wiser lady. Maybe she's young, but she's wise. Have somebody lead that on a Wednesday night when there's already childcare. And so instead of that single mom just sitting in the prayer meeting or whatever you have on a Wednesday night or a Sunday night, have them go to that, or a Sunday school time where there's already child. Have them go to a single mom group and just do it once a month, so it's not a burden on them, and it's not always a burden on the leader too. Do it once a month. And make it a good time for them to work through the different issues, or do it every other week, or however you want to do it. You can do it every week. It's up to you. But just try to launch something for single moms in your church. Again, this is not a program. This doesn't have to be complicated, but it's just saying, okay, we have this one lady, she can run it, and she can mentor these single moms. So she can mentor these single moms and this grandparent raising her grandkids, kind of make it a group effort to work through that. Because a lot of times there's grandmas raising grandkids and they're single. Because we see there's a lot of granddads that don't want to be part of that sometimes. So just try to see what you can do depending on your ministry and stuff like that. I saw somewhere about a divorce statistic with grandparents. I can't remember what it was, but grandparents raising grandkids, the divorce rate amongst them. I don't want to give you inaccurate information, but I think there was a number of how the grandparents raising grandkids, the pressure of that, they kind of like break up, but I can't remember exactly what that was. Take the kids. Here's number 5, how to jumpstart. They're just ideas to jumpstart. These aren't in order or anything, but just how to get started in this. Single moms, single dads, foster families, grandparents raising their grandkids need some help, which includes having some time to step away for a bit, okay? Just by watching the kids a few hours, it would be a blessing to them. So kind of just letting them have some time on their own. Just picture, maybe you are, I don't know if you're a single parent or a single mom, but picture you doing it by yourself and never having anybody to ever help watch your kids. I mean, I saw Josh posted years ago. Heather was out of town, and he said, "I commend all single moms." I saw him posted on Facebook or something a long time ago because he was like, "I'm basically a single parent because Heather's out of town." He said, "I don't know how you do this," and that's kind of you taking it and putting yourself in their shoes and thinking about what can I do to help them. Keep track of special dates. Keep track of special dates where maybe their spouse passed away. Maybe they have, maybe it's their birthday, significant dates in their personal life. And during those days, just have it on a reminder on your calendar. Send them a text message. Send them a card if you can. Maybe give a 2-day notification where, 2 days from now, give them a card at church or something. Just to encourage them. Hey, we're praying for you. We care about you. And this isn't about you. This isn't about you. Because you have to protect yourself as a pastor, not establishing an emotional connection. This is about you pointing them to God. Hey, such and such church, we care about you. God cares about you, and we're here for you if you ever need anything. And make it that way where if you ever leave the church, they're not just saying, "Oh, this pastor loved me." Point them to God. You know what I mean? Point them to the church, God's church, and make sure that they're not just dwelling on you, because they can form that emotional connection. They can form that bond with you, which is, it's fine to have it to a point, but make sure you're pointing them to God. Okay, make God the hero, as we always say. Make God the hero of their life, and so you're doing it. And we do that in our ministries, but sometimes some of these families, when they have that lack of dependence on that spouse or their dad or something, they get a dependence on you. Constantly be pointing them to God, not in a weird way, but just saying, hey, God cares about you. You know what I mean? We care about you, but God really cares about you. He cares, and just kind of always pointing them to God ultimately. Help them with that. And when you do these things, make sure you point them always to God. Father's Day is the next one. It's a significant date, but that's kind of by itself, because Father's Day is a great time where you honor your dads in your church, but you can also remember those fatherless families. Father's Day is a horrible day for kids that don't have a dad, because they're just reminded, oh, my dad's a loser. He lives in Las Vegas. That's what it was for me on Father's Day. I lived in Pennsylvania. I got this guy out in Las Vegas that, I don't know. I don't even remember met the guy. I had images in my mind of what he looked like, but I didn't even know who he was. And it just was like, nobody cares about me. And that's what I felt like growing up. But then one time it changed. I had my grandfather for several years, and we honored him, but then he passed away. And then one time my youth pastor on a Sunday kind of saw how I wasn't, kind of felt on a Sunday, and he invited me to go with his family for lunch. And just be able to be somewhere with somebody to honor somebody on Father's Day. It was like, wow, I can be part of this. And I remember we went to Don Pablo's, okay? And rest in peace. But we went to Don Pablo's, and I remember exactly what I ate. I remember being there with them, because it was a significant time in my life where kind of things changed, where it was like, oh, Father's Day is not as bad as I thought it was, because somebody actually cared about me on this day. I actually have somebody I can honor on this day, and because my pap had passed away. And so it's one of those things. So you can really impact them on Father's Day. One of the things we did in our church was we would go and we don't do, again, we didn't do everything perfect, but we would have a Father's Day dinner. And so we would invite all the fatherless families, single moms, out to an Italian restaurant usually, because Italian restaurants are a little fancier, but you can order pizza and it's cheaper. You know what I mean? So they feel like you're going somewhere fancy, but we're just going to order a bunch of pies and you can have soda. And so it makes them feel good. And you do it like in a mid-afternoon when it's not crowded. Like, hey, meet us at 4:00 at this place, and we're going to have pizza. And then we would have gift bags with devotionals in them. We'd have Christian music CDs. We would have journals. We would have just all kinds of stuff to encourage them and give them a gift on Father's Day. saying, hey, I know it's not an easy day for you, but we love you. God loves you. We care about you. Our church cares about you. And it would encourage them that it's going to be okay. And we would do it. We usually did it the day before Father's Day, or we've done it like even the Father's Day afternoon. But you got to be careful with your kids, because when you're ministering to other people's kids, you got to be careful with your kids. So you don't want to mess up their, you know what I mean? You got to make sure that it's okay with your kids when you're doing this. So if it's on Father's Day, be careful, make sure it's okay with your kids. Talk to them about it. And say, hey, do you care if we do this? Just be sensitive to that, because you don't want your kids to resent the ministry because you were paying attention to other people on significant dates. So that's kind of what we learned along the way as well. And also give gifts to the single moms too that day. Try to help them with that. Don't make it public. Make it that even Father's Day. Kind of just make it. Be sensitive about it, and just send them a personal invite. Don't make it a Facebook event. You know what I mean? Send them Facebook message, text message, call them. Hey, we're going here. Let you know we're going here this time. We're going to have a great time together. And when you sit down and talk to them, don't preach at them. Just spend time with them like a dad would at the supper table. Just talk to them about life. Talk to the single moms about life. Just make it a fun time. Again, another resource is number 15. Number 8. 15. Number 8, godismydad.com is a free resource that you can walk through videos. You can sit down with these kids, talk to them when you're one-on-one with them. Godismydad.com is another thing you can use. It's something we've created. It's a free tool for you, and definitely check it out, because it's something you can use in your ministry. Like if you're sitting down with a kid at McDonald's and you're mentoring this kid, watch the Skit Guys video on our app, or we have a former NFL quarterback, Jeff Kemp's on there. And so just play that and then talk to them about what the guy said in the video, and just work through that stuff. It's a free resource for you. Just ideas for you with that. Number 9, be there. Okay, be there. And you're like, what does that mean? Be there during important events, awards times. I remember going to an awards ceremony for a little girl in elementary school. Her name was Andrea. And she brought me a picture of her and I after I did that. And it was an elementary award for some presidential award. And it just went for like a half an hour or an hour. And that meant the world to her, because her dad had just recently left their family. But just being at those significant times. So be aware of what's going on in their life, or have volunteers do that. Have a deacon go after that. You don't have to do all this yourself. But try to have somebody plugged into their family. Dads with donuts. Horrible time if you don't have a dad. Okay? Donuts with dad, or whatever it's called. Terrible time for a kid who doesn't have a dad, but you can go and be part of that and have donuts with dad. You hear about that at local elementary school, say, who can I go and be their dad for them for the day? Also, recitals, games. Recitals can be a rough one because they're like 3 hours long, but we did that. Just go, slip in at like the last half an hour, go see them at the end. I'm just kidding. We have our phones, right? We can take a little earbud. Some of those can be rough. Games, plays. And say this. You can say I'm wrong for this, but I like the graduation from high school. We had high school that would take hours. And so I would show up, and it was outside in the stadium. So I knew I could show up around like the Teis, you know what I mean? So I'd get there around the Teis. I knew when the Teis were going to be, and I was there, and I got to be there at the end and see them and say, I'm so proud of you. It's awesome. You graduated. You can say what you want, but I don't have to stand there for 3 hours. You know what I mean? Be away from my family because they're late at night. And so just be there as much as you can for these families and do your best to help them out. I know these are practical things, but a lot of times they're things we don't really think about. Number 10, teach them something you know. What are you good at? Are you good at playing sports? Are you good at working on computers? Are you good at sewing, cooking? Good at barbecuing? Are you good at working on your house? Are you good at doing electrical work or whatever? I don't know what you're good at, but you know what you're good at. Maybe teach them some of these skills. When you teach them something like that, it gives them confidence. My mentor took me when I was 17, I think. One of my mentors I had in high school, he took me... This guy became like my dad. No blood relation, no marriage relation. He just became like a dad to me, even to this day. And he's like, one day he said, we're going to go shooting skeet. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, okay? I'd never shot a shotgun in my life. One day we go, and I was working for him and for his business, and one day we just go off to this place in the middle of the woods at this club, and it's a trap and skeet club. And he hadn't shot in years, but he knew how to do it. And we go out, and we had the best time of our lives. And we were just laughing. We're unloading our guns. If you've ever shot skeet before, you're only supposed to shoot one shell at a time, depending if there's two being thrown out, you can shoot two, but you're not supposed to unload your gun. We were unloading our guns, just boom, 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 missing all of them. Their things are flying. We had a great time, though. But you know what? we did that together for the first time, and then we learned we like doing this together. And so we started shooting skeet all the time together. And he eventually got his own skeet thrower on his property, and we were out there. I got to the point where I was hitting 24 out of 25 out of a box of shells. I was getting really good at it. Well, then that gave me confidence later in life where I'm like, oh, I'm good at this. And there was other things he taught me how to work on different things, and it showed me confidence where I could, well, if I can do that, then I can do this. And you know what I mean? So you teach them what you're good at, and it gives them confidence, because a lot of fatherless kids feel inferior to a lot of the kids in their class. And that's why they act the way they do. That's why they might feel insufficient in their class. That's why they might act out, because they don't feel like they're as good as the other people that have an intact family a lot of times. And so you try to establish that confidence in them. Like, you can do things. You can do great things with your life. You just, and just try to always center, again, around God. My mentor, say what you want about Chuck Swindoll, but I listened to so much Chuck Swindoll with this guy, okay? I'd be riding in the car with him. We'd be going for work, because I worked with him. I would fall asleep, and because it was just, Chuck Swindoll is a soothing voice. And I would fall asleep. He would take his Diet Pepsi, he'd pull it out of the cooler, kind of just put it against my leg, not in a weird way, but just put it against my leg. I'd jolt and wake up, and he'd be like, what'd you think of what he just said there? And he just, kind of keeping me trying to learn about the Bible. That was his way of doing it. You do it your way. That was his way of doing it. And I would listen to Chuck Swindoll. To this day, I love listening to Chuck Swindoll because of that. Christmas. Christmas is a great time. You can give their family a care package during Christmas. It doesn't have to, again, these things don't have to be expensive, but just letting them know we care, our church cares about you over Christmas. Give them a $10 gift card. I don't know, but just care about them somehow over Christmas. Provide some nourishment through food. Give them provision, gift cards, money. Give them evangelism and discipleship through tracts, devotionals, and Christian music and movies. Get some Christian stuff into their life. Provide some Christian music that you think would be good for their home. My mom used to make us listen to Pastor the Pirate all the time. I love Pastor the Pirate. We should pop it into the car. Well, she bought it somewhere, or somebody gave, I don't know how she got it. I think she might have bought it, but I don't know. But provide that stuff to them, because you're like, well, I want them to grow. Well, if the single mom doesn't have anything for them to continue to learn about the Bible, how's she going to teach them? So if you provide that to them and show them how to get it, then maybe you say, hey, we got this at this place, show them where to get it, then they can start doing it themselves. Help them understand that they can be part of that. Launch a formal program. I got to stop because we need to get into questions here. Launch a formal program. There's a vast variety of ways your church can launch a formal program. So you can start that. You can start a mentoring program. You can get involved in Boy Scouts at your church, secret PAL program, things like that. Host a single mom dinner. We've done a bunch of these, but host a single mom dinner at your church where you can provide childcare and just have somebody come and speak about it or speak truth into them. You can do it that way. Again, focusing on that mom, because if you focus on the mom, evangelize and disciple her, she's going to evangelize and disciple her kids. You can speak as much as you want to those kids, but if you focus on that mom, it's going to help her drive to those kids. My mom was not perfect, but she's trying, and she kept me in church. She kept me in Christian school. It kept me along that path. So just focus on helping that single mom, helping them understand why it's important to focus on God and their family. Write them notes every couple months. Encourage them to about something in their life, keeping that relationship going. Doesn't have to be weird. Doesn't have to be awkward. Just about something going on. Have a prayer list. You can even do the notes during the holidays and stuff like that. St. Patrick's Day. You don't have to make it about St. Patrick's Day, but just gives you a reminder. There's a holiday, I'll write them a note. Just kind of like, hey, this is about you. Kind of an easy way to remember. Have a prayer list. Ask them questions about things that they're struggling with in life so that you can pray for those things. And then follow up with them about those things. And it's like, wow, they actually remembered that I had this one test of the doctors coming up, and they prayed for me about that, or they remembered that I was trying to work through night school or whatever they're doing, but just they're working through stuff, and just pray for them about those things and then follow up with them. And then 16, a bonus one, give them access to the God is My Dad Club, because that's something that's going to be awesome for them. It's the bonus one. Okay, discussion questions. We got 15 minutes. Discussion questions. And we already said the first one. I said, who are some families that God is bringing to your mind right now? You can write those down, but that's a discussion question. These aren't listed on your paper. They're just for the additional part there. But another question: what are some ways you've reached fatherless families in the past? Because we're going to share ideas now. This is Idea Day. What are some ways your church has? Anybody? Single moms, grandparents raising grandkids? Maybe you haven't. I don't know. I just want to see if there's anybody that maybe you've done something in the past. Anybody? Go ahead. Just
planted a church in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and several Hispanic kids without dads.
okay.
And so we had a van program picking them up every week. The youth pastor, I got a youth pastor, went and played ball with them One of them said, Pastor, I can beat you in basketball. I said, you'd have to kill me before I'd let you beat me in basketball.
Yeah.
He said, we need to play one-on-one. I said, get your friends. So I went and beat him in front of his friends and then mocked him for months about it. And he would laugh and laugh. Well, when he got to be a college student, we need to play one-on-one again. He was in college, and we need to play one, and he beat me. And he said, now I'm going to church to tell everybody I beat you.
There you go. That's great. You used what you could do to, yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Anybody else? Yes.
So we worked on just building a relationship with a place called Hands of Hope in Reno, and then they're kind of attached with Toys for Tots.
Nice.
The owner happens to be in our church, or he's kind of like a partial owner, ex-Marine Corps, things like that. So we just asked them, we were like, hey, do you guys ever have like gifts left over? And the guy in that certain area, he said, we've never had anybody actually ask us if we ever had anything left over. He said, matter of fact, we got about a Gaylord, which was 700 brand new in the box gifts that they didn't know what to do with. And we're like, give them to us every year, and we'll figure it out. Well, we built some inroads with the social services in Reno, and Christmas Eve, we called them up. We said, hey, we've got 650, 700 gifts left. Can we just bring them to you guys? Nothing attached.
That's awesome.
So we did it, and the lady was crying because they didn't have enough kids or gifts for the kids in our area that were in foster care right now. A lot of them didn't have gifts at all. So they called in a bunch of volunteers on Christmas Eve and wrapped every single one of them. And she's got pictures for me and stuff, just the kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we said the only thing we'd ask is that if they wouldn't mind letting the kids know that it wasn't from like Higher Vision Church or anything, but it was from God. Just if they would.
I love that.
She said she'd be willing to do that. So we didn't want any credit. We just said it was just from the Lord. And so a lot of what you're saying today is really impacted me quite a bit.
That's good. I like that idea. Did you ever hear of Sheetz gas station in Pennsylvania? Sheetz, you ever hear of that? It's like Wawa or like what's the one in Texas? That big one in Texas. It's like a Buc-ee's, but way smaller than Buc-ee's. It's not like a super Walmart, or whatever. But it's a gas station. But they took me and bought me a present when I was a kid. And I'm a loyal Sheetz fan because they took at-risk kids. They got put on a list, and I went and got a bike. I got a football and a tee, and an NBA Jam Session VHS tape. And I'll tell you what, I love Sheetz to this day. I will buy their gas from them over anybody. And so even like I would encourage maybe to put your church name, just because it gives them it's brand loyalty. You know what I mean? And I hate to say that about church, but that's what it is. And so you say, wow, they bought me a present? Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, what's this church about? You know what I mean? She did put your name? Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool.
She wouldn't accept it, this specific lady, if we were going to do that.
Yeah.
She just got this thing about it, and come to find out, she actually told them it was from Higher Vision Church.
Wow. Okay, cool. So that's good. Because there is something mentally about it. Like, wow, they did something for me.
She's got a whole open view, too, of the church. She's been very church in our community, and so that really opened up some more relationships. So we talk often now.
That's
We've got some families in the church that are actually talking to her about fostering kids now.
That's so cool.
So
that's
really
great.
Cool.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It's all God, and we just asked for toys, and we got.
I love that.
And they brought that Gaylord of toys, and I was like, "What are we gonna do?"
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great. Anybody else?
We were able to partner with our elementary school and middle school. We talked to the principals and said, "Give us some families. Tell us what they need," and we filled a tree with tags, and we had people asking for gifts afterwards, and we said, give us the big gifts, the bikes, the clothes, and we dropped off 2 loads for I think 4 families, and gave them the wrapping paper so could invest in that, and it came from the parents, so they knew what they got their kids, and then we opened up our facility we partner with the foster program that collects all those gifts, and we brought all of our county foster families in, and they come and they pick up gifts for those kids, but we served them cookies, and we ministered to them while they're in that long line waiting to pick up gifts.
That's cool.
And then offered them gift cards. We just want to make this day easier for you. Is it a meal for your foster family, or is it something that you can afford during that season while you're ministering to those kids?
Yeah, and then in times of they might not come right away, but in times of struggle, they're going to think of your church. They're going to be like, "This is going on."
We did a follow-up letter to all of the drawing people. We care about you. We care about the foster community.
That's awesome.
We love you. God loves you.
Mm-hmm.
We can serve you. Let us.
Yeah. sometimes we do these things and it's like, is this even effective? Are they just using me? You know what I mean? And we get that. It feels like that. And I felt like that before, but we know that they are seeing God through that, and it's up to God that we plant the seed. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's hard because it's like I'm buying stuff, and yes, I'll get you to one second.
We found, even in California, that the social services, the public schools, they're really open to allowing churches to help.
Because it's an epidemic. They're just like, I don't even know what to do.
They're so overwhelmed, especially the social workers and the foster system. They're just so overwhelmed that, they welcome any kind of help. It can't seem too religious to them. So I was going to ask, when you're having those conversations with public schools and social services and things, do you frame it a different way? Do you ever get pushback on the term fatherless?
Rarely have we ever gotten, because they know they're fatherless. The only ones that I had one single mom get mad at me about that because she's like, my kid's not fatherless. They're fatherless. Their dad's not around. And so I grew up fatherless, and so I'm like, and I had tons of friends that are fatherless, and I'm like, we're fatherless. Our dad's a loser, and so they're not around, or our dad's passed away. I'm fatherless. But then even with the public schools, we do public school assemblies, and we go in and we do middle school and high school, and it's not a Christian assembly. It's a motivational speech based on biblical principles, and then the goal is, because they'll let you, typically what we've seen is they'll let you invite them to a youth event, and you can hand out cards. And so we'll hand out, if the church doesn't want to do an event, we'll hand out our ministry cards, and it has our website and stuff on it where they can find the gospel that way. But I think the best way is to have an event where it says, hey, you can you can come out to this event Friday night, pizza, archery tag, or whatever game you want to play with them that's exciting for them, and it's gonna be a fun time, and then you preach the gospel there. And so it's a follow-up event. You might get 30 kids, you might get 100 kids, you might get 2. I don't know, but you can do something that way. And they usually let you hand a card out, as long as the card's not overly evangelistic. That's not the goal of it. So yeah, but that's the way to do it. It's kind of like going into it's a covert operation. You're going in there, you're like, I'm gonna talk about leadership and bullying, and then we're trying to get them to get that invite to bring them somewhere else. And that's the best way to do it. Yeah. Hold on one second.
One thing we've done is I do a fellowship of Christian students at a local middle school because a lot of the students won't go to the FCA because I'm not an athlete. So what we started over there is I started talking to guidance counselor about needs of the school. We started a care program, this community awareness in regards to educators. And what we do, we go to the teachers. They let us come in every school year at the teacher meeting before they start. And I get to present what that is based on. We say, hey, the teachers know the students more than the administration do. Mm-hmm. They know the needs of these students. And so, like, there's a young boy that needs shoes. They'll tell the guidance counselor, she'll call me and say, hey, you need a pair of shoes. We go buy shoes, bring them in, and a lot of times they'll give me here's the address. We can take them to the home. Say, hey, you know what church you with? Manual Baptist. If you need anything else, if you need us to pray for something, here's our number.
You could give them your number on the back of a track.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And, hey, we got kids that need some clothes. All right, here's your sizes. Now, one thing we try not to do, we try to keep it in style, name brand, because, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right.
Yep.
We don't want to take something that we're going to get made fun of.
Yeah.
So
plastic soles and stuff. Yeah. Dollar General.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's opened up doors to now. They'll start reaching out to us at Christmas time or Thanksgiving. Hey, you know what? We got 4 families that don't have any food for Christmas. Can y'all help? We can. All right. Here's their addresses. Here's their phone numbers. And legally, from their standpoint, they're not supposed to give us that. Mm-hmm. She's like, here, take it direct to their house. So that's just something we want to try to move that into other schools.
That's awesome.
Because there is such a need, and and a lot of times these teachers are paying for that their own pocket. So that's just something we've gotten a good reaction from, and from that, some of these kids have started coming to our church.
Is that Fellowship of Christian Students? Is that a organization or something you just came up with yourself? I worked for FCA for a while, and it was hard because it's just about athletes, and so it's like, what about the rest of the kids?
That's what got me into middle school. I said, hey, I'm going to start FCA. They're like, sure, come on in.
Yeah.
So that kind of opened the door. Then when we got in there and I started talking to the guidance counselor, she's like, a lot of the kids are not coming because they're standoffish because, and I was that kid. I wasn't an athlete in school. So I kind of shied away from those students. And she's like, can we change it? I'm like, yeah. If you're willing, sure. So I actually started at a high school now, Fellowship of Christian Students at a high school. Average 12 to 15 students every week.
That's great.
So that's just something that the FCA opened the door, but now.
Yeah, exactly. We have something? We have like 2 minutes, so.
Yeah, it's just in regards to the addictions and mental illness. So like we do a lot with homelessness right now in Reno, but it just kills me inside. So like our coordinator for our outreach called Mission 58, and we were just talking about it. And I said, look, I love that we did. Like we just last Saturday we fed like 300, like a legit 300 homeless people. Everybody was all like happy and excited, and I walked away just sad, just crying. And I was like, man, like this sucks. I mean, there's 300 homeless people we just fed within 2 hours, gave them clothes and all that. We gotta curb it. Like it's not the answer. We gotta curb it. So when you're talking about the addiction, mental illness, that's a lot of the people that we meet have mental illness from addictions and things like that. So I guess, is there some statistics that you found that kind of take fatherless to that?
To homelessness?
Yeah.
There are. I just don't have them on here, but yeah, there are numbers. Yeah. Foster care is one of them, definitely.
6%
Yeah.
of 16-year-olds who come out of foster care become homeless.
Yep. Yeah. That's a good one.
That's the U.S. statistic.
Yeah. It's amazing. And
Baptist.
76%. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's good.
We just took foster care classes 2 weeks ago, and they're like, what do you think the major cause of homelessness is in America? And then they went through the foster statistics from 5 different sites. And so,
That's great.
Right, so that's where the focus has to be if you really want.
Yeah. And it really just putting them to, you might have had this relationship growing up, but God can help you heal through that, because they try to heal through, like my dad did. He lives here in Vegas. My Uncle David looks like he's like 60. My dad looks like he's 85. They're 3 years apart. That drugs and alcohol will ruin your body, but they need to know God will fill the voids of my life. You know what I mean? It's the only way they can heal through this. So I want to pray for you guys just real fast. Heavenly Father, thank you for the individuals that came here today. I pray that you'd guide them on how they can take these principles and take whatever you give to them to minister to the fatherless, the single moms and the grandparents raising grandkids, and help them to effectively reach these families in their circles of influence. Lord, we love you so much. We thank you for this day. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thanks so much for listening to today's Idea Talks. If you would like to reach out to us, drop us an email at joshtice@ideanetwork.church. If you benefited from this podcast, we ask that you take a moment to show your support by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast on iTunes. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you right here again at the Idea Talks podcast.